Welcome to the Minnesota Medical Reserve Corps MRC 101 training video. This training course will build on the MRC Orientation video. If you haven't watched that orientation yet, please pause here and go back and watch that video first.
In the orientation video, you learned about the history, purpose, and structure of the MRC, got a sense of what type of deployments you'll be participating in and where they might happen. You also heard about the basic expectations of conduct as well as the liability coverage for volunteers.
In this MRC 101 module, we will dive into more specifics. We'll learn what a deployment looks like, addressing pre-deployment, deployment, and post-deployment activities and expectations.
Remember that the MRC's mission is to strengthen public health, improve emergency response capabilities, and build community resilience. This 101 training will provide the baseline knowledge you'll need to begin to take part in this important work.
There are many terms used in this training that you may be hearing for the first time. We will define them as we move through the training, but you can also reference the terminology and acronym sheet provided by your unit leader or linked here. Now, let's learn about what deployment looks like.
A deployment, in basic terms, is the coordinated response to an incident or event. To fully understand deployment and your role in it, we generally break it down into three phases: pre-deployment, deployment, and post-deployment. We'll go through each of these in order.
Pre-deployment is something that we do in what we call steady state or blue sky times. This means that there is not an emergency or incident happening that we are actively responding to. It encompasses all that we can do to be trained and ready to deploy when the time comes. This begins with activities like exactly what you're doing right now: joining your MRC and completing the requirements to be eligible for deployments. Your specific MRC unit will communicate with you all of the necessary requirements to become an active volunteer. In Minnesota, there is a standard training curriculum for all MRC volunteers. It is based on the existing nationally recognized core competencies for MRCs. It is also important for MRC volunteers to understand how they will integrate with staff from the hosting jurisdiction. As you are completing the requirements to become a full member of your MRC unit, you can get started on a number of important parts of your pre-deployment and emergency preparedness in general.
First, make a disaster plan. This involves gathering the supplies and equipment you would want in your home and possibly vehicle in case of an emergency. An emergency kit should include water, non-perishable food, a flashlight, first aid kit and masks, chargers, a can opener or other tools, batteries, a whistle, and a radio. Also consider adding copies of important documents like medical records and birth certificates. Know where your identification and passport are so you can take them should you need to evacuate your home. A comprehensive kit list can be found at ready.gov/kit and is linked below along with more details.
In addition to supplies and equipment, it's also important to know how to stay informed. Ready.gov/be-informed has lots of information on how notifications and alerts work, what kind of documents you can prepare, and much more. Further details can be found at ready.gov/plan. Take time with your household to go through these sites and create your own plan and kit. In addition to knowing what to prepare and how to stay informed, it is also important to take the time with your household to understand what each of your abilities and limitations might be in order to react efficiently and stay healthy and safe in an emergency. This might mean including specific medications, like an inhaler for someone who has asthma, but it is also important to talk through any mental or physical challenges and consider the specific needs of your household. Having a predetermined communication plan with your household is very important. If you are not all together when an emergency happens, how will you communicate with each other to make sure everyone is safe? Being ready to join your MRC unit in an emergency requires that you know you can confidently and quickly leave your home and community to be deployed.
As an MRC volunteer, your time is valued, and the MRC understands that you have other important commitments. So the amount of time you commit to the MRC is completely up to you, and you are never required to deploy. If there is a deployment request, you will be notified according to the method or methods you indicated when registering as a volunteer. You'll be given instructions or next steps. You'll then report to work alongside other amazing individuals in your community, from medical professionals like nurses and doctors to public health workers and community members with wide-ranging skills from diverse backgrounds.
So what else do you need to know to be ready for deployment? Keep your contact information up to date in MinResponse, or the registry your unit uses to track and manage volunteers. Make sure any background checks or licensure credentialing are completed. Understand your liability coverages. Understand your unit's notification and activation process. Make sure you are physically and mentally healthy and ready for deployment. And prepare your go bag. A go bag is similar to your emergency kit, but is often a smaller bag that has everything you will need to take with you on a deployment, such as IDs, credit cards, cash, medications, your MRC badge, water and snacks, appropriate clothing, footwear, and accessories for the location of the deployment. Your leader will share the comprehensive contents, but they are also available in detail in the document linked here. Before your first activation, take a look at this list and have a bag prepared for your unique needs and deployment. Once you have completed all this, you're ready.
Now you know what to do to get ready, but very importantly, there's something you should never do. Never self-deploy. Self-deploying means that you show up at a response incident alone without being notified by your MRC unit. Self-deployment puts you and the entire response or operation at great risk.
Next, let's discuss deployment expectations. Again, deployment is the term we use to describe the coordinated response to an incident or an event. The term incident refers to an actual or impending hazard that requires action by emergency personnel to attempt to prevent or minimize loss of life or damage to infrastructure and natural resources. Public health emergency incidents include anything that could impact the physical or mental health of an individual, no matter if it's an infectious disease, a natural disaster like a tornado, or an act of mass violence. An event is a planned non-emergency activity. These could be things like assisting agency staff at a health fair, setting up outdoor medical tents for a large local marathon, supplementing staff as greeters at a large event like the Special Olympics. Every state has their own emergency notification procedures and systems. In Minnesota, almost all of the MRC units use the MinResponse system. You've likely already signed up for the system or will very soon. This is how your unit coordinator will notify you of both planned events and incidents which require a deployment. Also, most of your training and certifications and other important information can be documented there. You may be deployed locally, statewide, or out of state. Local responses are managed through your local public health department and their partners. In Minnesota, this is usually through your county or region where your MRC unit is based. If you're part of a specialty unit, or at the University of Minnesota, those entities will define where you are deployed. Sometimes you will be asked to support emergency responses outside of your local jurisdiction. Those are managed through partnerships, such as mutual aid agreements and the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, or EMAC. In the event you are deployed in another part of the state or out of state, your unit leader will coordinate any necessary travel plans, including expenses. Check with your unit leader for more information on your jurisdiction's travel policy. Once you've been notified, you move into activation. Activation is the coordinated response in preparation for an incident. It involves gathering volunteers, assigning roles, and then reporting to the response location. As long as you've completed your required pre-deployment responsibilities and understand the notification and activation process, you are all set. Remember that you should never self-deploy. If an emergency occurs, wait for notification from your unit. If you do not follow instructions given or self-deploy, you will miss out on just-in-time training and role-specific training, as well as other important information to help make the response run smoothly. Just-in-time training is crucial to understanding what is needed for each deployment. Your prior training through both the MRC as well as any additional skills that you bring build a strong base for just-in-time training. But you will always need to participate in this step of activation. This is connected to role-specific training. Role-specific training is usually a refresher on a particularly assigned role in a deployment. An excellent example of this is a vaccinator. That is a skill required for certain volunteers before deployment, and role-specific training as a part of activation will serve as a refresher, as well as share specific information for that particular deployment. Role-specific training can also come in the form of a job action sheet, or JAS. A job action sheet is a checklist of role-specific information and other materials. Once deployed, you may be part of administrative and/or operational activities, depending on how your agency or jurisdiction has chosen to utilize MRC volunteers for the particular response. You will most likely be supporting agency staff or filling specific skill gaps for that agency. Your role will be assigned to you by your supervisor as part of the overall incident command structure. Yeah, so thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to have your MRC badge, if applicable. Government ID, licensure, and personal needs, as reviewed in the prior Go Bag section. Upon arriving at the location you are assigned to, make sure you have everything included in your deployment instructions and have your badge visible. Look for the reception area, or staff, or MRC check-in area. This area helps provide information, accountability, safety, and security. It is a central point to distribute supplies, food, job action sheets, and more. At check-in, you will get your position assignment. From there, you will meet your supervisor and get an initial briefing. Your supervisor will show you where you fit in the incident command structure for the site, and make sure you understand the chain of command and communication. This is critical to an efficient and effective response. Next, you will receive and need to understand your job action sheet and participate in just-in-time and possibly role-specific training, as discussed above. Before you are sent to your post, the site safety officer will give a safety briefing to ensure all staff and volunteers are aware of any potential safety hazards, how to mitigate them, and who to report any issues or injuries to while on duty. Public health emergency responses are dynamic and can change quickly as new information is available. Your supervisor will inform you of any changes in operations throughout your shift.
Deployments, especially emergency responses, can be difficult physically and emotionally. It's important to take care of yourself so that you can continue to support the response. Some basic ways that you can take care of yourself during deployment are: get a good night's sleep, eat a healthy breakfast, drink plenty of water, get some exercise in, even just going for a walk, take breaks, talk with a friend or loved one, stay connected to faith practice if you have one, work with a partner to check on each other throughout your shift or shifts. Here's a short guide that covers more of this in depth. Taking care of yourself is critical to being a beneficial member of the deployment team. If you're not feeling physically or mentally able to continue your duties, that's okay. Notify your supervisor and they can make the necessary changes. Participating in a deployment can be challenging, but it also can be very rewarding.
Thank you very much.
As an incident or event winds down, we move into the post-deployment or demobilization.
Demobilization is a planned process and ensures the orderly, safe, and efficient return of resources to their original location and status. This includes both personnel and equipment. This is just as important as every step we've covered so far, and it includes several important activities. Resources and inventory will need to be returned or replaced. While these specifics vary from unit to unit and type of response, during your activation and demobilization, you will learn how to keep track of equipment and what is needed to get it properly returned once the event is over. This includes items such as radios or other communication equipment, pens and clipboards, waste bins, hazardous waste like sharps containers, and personal protective equipment or PPE. Single-use PPE should be discarded properly and replaced as needed, while reusable PPE will need to be cleaned and returned. In addition to returning supplies, you as a volunteer will need to participate in several aspects of demobilization. Just as you followed the instructions for activation, you must be released from duty by your immediate supervisor. Your supervisor will need to keep track of your information, including hours worked and date of deactivation, so that this can be an efficient process. Make sure you have timesheets filled out properly, as well as activity logs and other paperwork that you are responsible for completing. If you've been deployed outside of your home jurisdiction, this will also be a time to let your home unit know that you are being released and finalize any necessary travel arrangements. Similarly, if you need to fill out reimbursement paperwork, that must also be completed. Beyond administrative needs, incidents are important to learn from. Sharing insights for issues or improvements that may be time-sensitive is very important. Before you leave the site, you may be asked to participate in a hot wash. A hot wash is a means to get quick feedback from staff and volunteers after their shift. Though this doesn't always happen after every shift, the intention is to identify things that went well and should continue, as well as opportunities for improvement that can be corrected relatively quickly in the midst of the deployment. When the deployment has been completely demobilized, you will likely be asked for feedback, either through a survey or an in-person meeting called an after-action review. This usually occurs a few days or weeks after a deployment. It is a facilitated discussion where you can share more in-depth feedback than you did at the hot wash, after you've had time to think about and process your experience. These or similar out-processing conversations should also be times where you can learn about possible physical and mental health reactions that you might experience after the deployment is over. Deployments can be taxing experiences. Assessing your physical and mental health once you've returned home is an important step in concluding your deployment. Many MRC units have formal post-deployment mental health support opportunities or processes.
We know that this is a lot of information to absorb, so it can be helpful to review this video training session again. If you're watching this in a group setting, your leader will provide some materials and the link to this video. We hope that providing this material ahead of time will build confidence and ease any anxieties you may have, especially if you've never been on a deployment.
We are so excited to work with you, and we absolutely could not do this critical work without your contributions. Thank you.